It's a great pleasure to follow the noble Lord Young of Norwood Green. It's so refreshing to have a bit of straight talking and honesty, and also I think a very important reminder of the political context for this bill being put forward, and in fact bills suddenly jumping up all over the place. There's a political argument going on, and we were reminded of it. I wanted to remind my Lords that most of us here in this House are in the job of conversion, and it's not just the Lord Spiritual. If you're in a political party, you want to convert as many citizens as you can to vote for you. As campaigners, we use persuasion to effect change, win hearts and minds. And despite the qualms of anti-nanny staters like me, changing behaviour is all the rage in policy circles, not least amongst the Liberal Democrats. Legislators use sticks and stones and the nudge unit to make us smoke and drink less, walk and cycle more. I note this because we are actually keen on imposing preferences of how we live in a wide range of issues. So I wanted to give that as a reminder, as it's been asserted on several occasions, who would ever dare impose a way of living on someone? They should live as they want, if only. You might say that such conversions are legitimate because they're harmless, but the bill's broad drafting doesn't even attempt to require that any harm is intended or caused. Baroness Burt reassures us that good faith, harmless advice and so on is not in target, and I'm grateful for that. But Baroness Burt also says that it's all about motivation. But how will the police and prosecutors assess this motivation? They'd have to read minds. More likely, they'd read social media or even public speeches such as these here today, scouring through everything for evidence of motivation. In that way, the bill will be used to police views and does threaten free speech and across a range of social settings. I want to start at church. I'm a secularist and an ardent supporter of lesbian and gay rights, and no fan whatsoever of religious sexual ethics. But religious freedom as a democratic virtue is something that Baroness Burt and I agree on, and this bill, I'd argue, threatens it. Because all the world's great religions are based on predetermined truth claims to which their followers must adhere. Preferences in terms of behaviour and belief are baked in and, yes, are often judgmental and require some restraint on personal preferences. So Christian teaching on the sacrament of marriage requires suppression of acting on sexual desire before marriage. However loving the church might be to any individual who is gay, the practice of homosexuality is deemed sinful, and therefore anyone who is gay is asked to practice celibacy if they want to be part of the church. And you and I might think that such ideas are preposterous. But then the option is to leave the church or that religion, rather than inviting the law in to try and shape religious doctrine. Every day in this chamber, noble lords recite the Lord's Prayer, quote, "Lead me not into temptation, but deliver me from evil." With this in mind, a scenario of a young Christian who wants to be delivered from evil, he wants to follow the church's teaching, he asks the vicar to pray to help him avoid sexual temptation. Surely the bill will turn that priest into a criminal, or it could do, because after all, the bill makes no distinction between consensual and non-consensual behaviour. What is at stake here should concern atheists, agnostics, everyone, because the bill jeopardises fundamental principles of secular democracy. To move on, while it's clear that the bill means by sexual orientation, can I ask the noble Baroness Burt how she defines gender identity before she tries to embed it in UK law for the first time? It's at best a contested concept. I appreciate a precise, fixed definition might be tricky when this particular identity can cover 100, 300 genders: transgender, gender fluid, gender queer, gender variant, gender less, non-binary. Lord Young is not the only person who gets confused, but are all those to be covered by Clause 1? And as has been explained so well already by Baroness Ludford, we now have evidence that sexual orientation is being sidelined in the medical and cultural enthusiasm to affirm and champion gender identity. Definitions are also muddled by the forced marriage of LGB with TQI. there is actually no connection between being same-sex attracted and a desire to change gender. In fact, many lesbians and gay men feel there is homophobic pressure being exerted on them to drop their exclusive and, yes, predetermined sexual preferences for the bodies of those born to the same sex. Can we at least recognise that this is a very, very, very complicated and contentious issue? And a bill like this actually does nobody any favours. But I'd also ask every political party to actually keep well away from this. It's going to poison the well of free speech and intergenerational relations and our relations with each other even more on a topic that's toxic enough.
Yeah.